welcome back to this David67 Celtic News YouTube channel video. This Thursday early afternoon video is a post-match review of Celtic's 1-1 draw in Belgrade against Red Star. Kicks off their 25-26 Europa League campaign with a decent draw, a good start to the campaign, and my own view is if we get points from our 4 away games and 3 or 4 wins from our home games, that should see us through comfortably into the knockout stage and potentially even a top 8 finish, which gets you a bye through to the last 16. In the video, we'll have a wee look at some of the key incidents, the goals, stats, my own player ratings and ratings for Rodgers, and 1 or 2 other wee thoughts and previews of other things on the channel. So, Celtic started pretty much as expected, I would guess, with Schmeichel in goals, Donovan, Carter-Vickers, Scales and Tierney in the back 4. McGregor, Negrin and Hatate again. In midfield, the 2 wide players, Cziniecki on the left, Yang on the right, and Dyson Maeda through the middle. And things just didn't seem to work out at all for Dyson Maeda in the first half. He hardly got a touch, got caught offside, I think, about 3 times as well, and really did not look himself. And to be fair, nor did Celtic really give him any opportunity to score or make a run. And there was quite a lot of stagnation and stale play and unimaginative play in Celtic's midfield and out wide as well. Celtic in the first half didn't really have any particularly good chances, 2 half chances at the start and end of the half, with Carter-Vickers headers from Benjamin Negrin, direct free kicks. Neither header was particularly well executed and didn't really trouble the Red Star goalkeeper. Celtic, however, did give away quite a number of half chances and chances in the first half, primarily to the Red Star striker Arnautovic. There were chances in the 15th, 19th, 31st minutes. A very good chance in the 36th minute. Again, Celtic very frail in defence. Happily, Kasper Schmeichel managed to get fingertips to the ball, tipped it onto the bar, and the ball bounced away to safety. And then there was a final chance in the 41st minute in that first half. Again, some poor marking, leaving Arnautovic free, and happily he missed yet again. And on another day, Arnautovic could well have scored a couple of goals in the first half. Was it not for his poor finishing? A wee bit of good defending, primarily from Carter-Vickers and Donovan, and that good save by Schmeichel. At half-time, Rodgers made a slightly surprising substitution, taking off Dyson Maeda and shoving on Kelechi Iheanacho. I think shoving on Kelechi Iheanacho was completely the right thing to do. However, I would be much more inclined to have switched Maeda out to the right, taken off Yang, because he also was pretty useless in the first half too, and hardly knew that Yang had played in the first half. That was how little he actually did. However, Rodgers did take off Maeda, who had been performing very poorly, and put on Iheanacho. Bringing on Iheanacho certainly did make a big difference in the second half. Celtic seemed to have an ability to get the ball out of their defence, seemed to have a target man to get the ball up to. Iheanacho did a good job of holding up, spreading the ball, and this time, as opposed to his last couple of games, he did well, got into the box, got himself into some good attacking positions and scored 1 and could easily have had 3. Celtic had a great spell from the 50th minute to the 53rd minute. Chances for Benjamin Negrin, who took a very good shot after a good run and cut back by Kieran Tierney, but Negrin's shot was probably just too central. Had it been a few yards further to the left or the right, there's a good chance that it could have been a goal. Then Kelechi Iheanacho put through by a nice cross pass across the 6-yard box by Benjamin Negrin again, and probably Iheanacho should have scored. There was a question as to whether Iheanacho might actually have been offside and the goal would have been disallowed, but the goalkeeper in this case made another save from the resulting corner. Colby Donovan had a chance at the front post, but it was blocked and saved, and that chance disappeared as well. However, Celtic did take the lead in the 55th minute. Nice run down the right wing by Benjamin Negrin, cutting in, then a very good pass through the defence, picking out Kelechi Iheanacho, who'd got himself into a wee bit of space in the middle of the box, and a very good finish put Celtic 1-0 up, and the goal survives a VAR check for a very close offside. Unfortunately, Celtic did seem to just kind of lose a wee bit of control of the game after that. Red Star Belgrade had a couple of chances, which Donovan and Carter Vickers managed to nullify. Then, after another good bit of Cameron Carter Vickers' defensive work, cleared the ball for a corner. Celtic defended very poorly. Scales and Tierney at the back post seemed to let the Red Star Belgrade player away completely unmarked. Kasper Schmeichel came out to close down the angle. Possibly he should just have stayed in the middle of his box. Difficult to know what was the right decision. However, Celtic didn't mark the Red Star Belgrade player who was first to the loose ball. He then crossed it nicely into the box, and unfortunately Arnautovic again was left unmarked, and he put the ball into the net with Kasper Schmeichel out of position. After that, Celtic did make a couple of more mistakes. This time Kasper Schmeichel did bail out the Celtics defence and Liam Scales with a couple of good saves. Schmeichel himself did make a couple more errors later in the game, passing straight to the Red Star Belgrade player in midfield, and then also coming for a cross, which he missed. Happily, on both occasions, Celtic defence, primarily Carter Vickers and Donovan, managed to mop things up and get things clear. And also Marcello Sirachi, who'd come on for Kieran Tierney, also had a couple of good bits of defensive clearances, blocks and tackles as well. 5 minutes were added at the end, but neither team really seemed to be keen to get on the front foot and risk giving up their point, and so it kind of fizzled out to a 1-1 draw. However, I think if most of us had been offered a 1-1 draw or a draw at the start of the game, we would have been quite happy with things, and certainly the second half performance was considerably better than the first half performance. Moving on to the stats for the game, showed that it was a pretty even game. Celtic maybe not making quite as much of the extra possession as they could have. However, when they did get in and around the penalty box, they were much more efficient than they have been in recent times. Red Star Belgrade missed quite a few chances, partly due to poor finishing and partly due to some good work by Schmeichel, Donovan and Carter Vickers. So in terms of possession, Celtic had the advantage there, 54-46. Shots were 16 for Red Star Belgrade, 8 for Celtic. However, Celtic did get 6 shots on target to their 4. There was 1 off target by Celtic, 9 off targets by Red Star, and Celtic managed to block 3 of their shots. And 1 Celtic shot was blocked. Touches in the box, surprisingly low, 23 to Red Star and just 19 to Celtic. So again, Celtic really quite efficient when they got into the Red Star Belgrade box. Corners were 8-4 in favour of Red Star, with Kasper Schmeichel making 3 saves and their goalkeeper making 5 saves. So again, does suggest that actually Celtic were a lot more efficient than they have been in recent weeks. Once they got into that danger zone. Quickly moving on to the rating for Brendan Rodgers, I've given them a 6 this time. A bit of a better performance by Rodgers as the manager, but still, for me, not good enough and not justifying his £3 million per year plus salary. However, no real grumbles with the selection. Personally, I would have gone for someone different on the right side rather than Yang. It might be an opportunity to put Negrin out to the right wing, getting him cutting in on his left foot, and bolstering the midfield with either McCowan or more likely Engels or Paulo Bernardo, both of whom do seem to take a step up in European football. However, Rodgers started with Yang out on the right, Daizen Maeda through the middle. Daizen Maeda and Yang were both big disappointments. And it was Maeda who was sacrificed to bring on Iheanacho. And to be fair, that was a good move. That really did work out. Celtic did seem to change a wee bit of their tactics, a wee bit of their focus. And Iheanacho scored one and could have scored another two. So good plus marks for Rodgers with that one. However, the other four substitutions didn't really change the way that Celtic were playing, didn't really give Celtic any extra impetus. That's partly down to the substitutes, but it's also partly down to the fact that it was just like for like replacements and not really changing things up. Marcello Sirachi certainly brought a bit more energy to the left back zone. I think because Kieran Tierney was slightly flagging, having played 90 minutes or so against Partick Thistle, and played 80 minutes against Red Star. And certainly Sirachi came on and did a pretty good job in the left back position. And as has been a recurring theme, Rodgers didn't really change the tactics, didn't really change the formations. And having got a 1-0 lead, didn't really seem to get Celtic to defend any deeper or any better. And so some marks off for that. And so 6 out of 10 for Rodgers in the end. But do feel free to pop your own ratings for Rodgers into the comment section after you've seen the whole video. Moving on to the player ratings, I've given Kasper Schmeichel a 6.5. He made a couple of very good saves, made a couple of errors, might have been at fault partly for the Red Star goal. Wasn't quite as dynamic as he usually is in getting the ball out into play nice and early. Didn't really get the defence organised a few times when it was required, and a few of his passes out of defence were rather poor, and so bouncing all that up, 6.5 for him. Give 6.5 for both Liam Scales and Kieran Tierney. They both did okay. Scales did some good defending. He also tended to let Arnautovic have far too much space. A couple of times Arnautovic got himself completely free of Liam Scales' marking. Neither Scales nor Tierney covered each other to help block out Arnautovic. Celtic luckily got away with that. Scales not really a particular threat coming forward at corners and direct free kicks, and his passing was, as usual, pretty poor, pretty negative, pretty slow. So 6.5 for him. Kieran Tierney did pretty well dealing with the change in the Red Star wide player at the start of the second half. Player who had a lot more pace. Tierney did pretty well with that, although he did seem to be just tiring a wee bit towards the end, and so not surprisingly was taken off for Sirachi. And one or two wee questions regarding both Scales and Tierney letting Arnautovic free in the box on their side of the defensive line-up, and also similarly at the goal from the loose ball after the corner kick, where both could have, should have, maybe have done a bit better to block out the wide player and block out Arnautovic getting space in the middle. Given 8 for both Colby Donovan and Carter Vickers, and man of the match for Carter Vickers. They both defended very well. When Carter Vickers was on Arnautovic, or whoever was playing most far forward for Red Star, Carter Vickers did a great job stopping any attacks, some good tackling, some good blocking, some good clearances, and was generally good at corners and free kicks when on the defence. Could have done a wee bit better, I think, with those 2 first half headers. But Carter Vickers doing a pretty good job leading the defence. And Donovan very, very impressive up and down the right-hand side. Didn't really get as far forward as he often has done, but did a grand job defending, good job moving into midfield. And I think he is a really good player in development, and I think very quickly he's going to be Alistair Johnston's backup when Johnston comes back from injury in a few weeks' time. Moving into midfield, given Callum McGregor 6.5. Thought he played okay, wasn't really leading the team. No real good passes, no really good linking up play. Few nice runs, a few nice passes, but not really at his best. and I wish he had done that wee bit more for Celtic. Similarly, Rio Hatate, I've given him a 5. He was very disappointing for me. Not many good passes, not much good in terms of linking up play or coming back to help out the defence or giving McGregor or Negrin more support, and not too surprising he was taken off with around about half an hour to go. Benjamin Negrin I've given 7 to. Didn't do the most great work in midfield, however, he was involved with many of Celtic's best chances, a couple of good deliveries from direct free kicks that Carter Vickers couldn't quite take advantage of. He set up an actual for Celtic's actual goal. He had a good shot on goal that probably should have been taken had he gone a bit further to the left or to the right. And he also set up Iheanacho on a couple of other occasions with good chances, so bumping him up to 7. Yang I've given a 5 to. I thought he was very, very poor. Would he been the worst player on the pitch was it not for the fact that Dyson Maeda played even worse. Given Dyson Maeda a 4, he looked pretty anonymous in the first half, got himself caught offside so many times in the first half, didn't seem to be really making any runs, nor were Celtic's players, to be fair, trying to find him with any runs. But apart from one time when he really hassled and harried the goalkeeper, Maeda was pretty anonymous in the first half. Personally, I would have swapped him to right wing and taken off Yang and put Iheanacho through the middle, and at least see had a go at that for 15-20 minutes or so. But Rodgers dropped Maeda to watch the game from the subs bench thereafter. Celtic's other wide player, Sebastian Gignac, I gave him a 6.5. Not his best performance so far for Celtic. Red Star did a very good job, and Gignac didn't really have the space as he has had in other games. A few nice runs up and down the wing, a few nice passes, some nice crosses, but wasn't quite the threat as he has been. Given Kelechi Iheanacho a 7.5, I thought he had a good performance. Kelechi Iheanacho led the line nicely. On another day, he could have scored a hat-trick, but he did score that one goal to get us the draw in the end. And little by little, I think he's really warming up to being a Celtic player and does give us a change of pace, a change of style, and a change of focus, which I think, particularly in Europe, is going to be very important. Engels and Forrest and Balikwisha I've given all 5s. I thought they all came on, didn't really do very much. Not really any attacking threat. The ball was got out to Forrest a few times, but he wasted it each time. Didn't really seem to have the pace or trickery or ability to beat a man or put in a killer pass or cross. Pretty disappointing for him. Engels, much the same. Balikwisha, again, kind of cut down for space, much like Tunyeki had been, and didn't really have the pace or trickery to get himself out of those situations. And I'll give Marcello Sirachi 6.5. I thought he did a fine job coming on for Tierney late in this second half. Showed quite a bit more aggression and pace and attack than Tierney had done, and also a couple of nice tackles, blocks, and clearances from the left back position when Red Star did get the ball into or around the box. Now, you may well have your own ratings and your own thoughts regarding player performances, so do please put those into the comment section. Finally, a couple of other wee things going on the channel at the moment. Do remember, as today is Thursday, there will be a Thursday live stream starting at 9 p.m. tonight. All welcome. All opinions, viewpoints, thoughts are welcome for a nice, pleasant, polite debate amongst Celtic fans. Lots of different topics, and there is a wee promo listing on the channel for tonight's live stream, so please do join if you are free from 9 o'clock, and also perfectly fine to pop in and out if you are free for only short spells, and we'll do our best to have a nice, pleasant, polite, constructive discussion about all things Celtic at the moment. Other wee thing is there's a poll on the channel at the moment, just looking at what we as Celtic fans think we should do with Dyson Maeda for the next few weeks. He does appear to be out of form, out of sorts, not really playing like he normally does, and certainly not playing anywhere near as well as he did for most of last season. So there is a wee poll to see whether you feel that Rodgers should keep him playing as the central striker, using Iheanacho as the player coming off the bench, swapping Dyson Maeda out to the right, keeping Chunyeki on the left and putting Iheanacho as our main striker through the middle, or swapping Maeda out to the left, popping Chunyeki over to the right, where he has played on quite a number of occasions previously, and using Iheanacho as our main striker, with players like Maeda and Kenny coming off the bench, or even swapping Maeda into central later in the game once Iheanacho retires. Or should we just use Dyson Maeda off the bench for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour here and there, and try and work him back into form and work him back into the type of player he was last season? So do pop your vote into the poll on the channel, and we'll keep that open through to the weekend and the game against Hibs on Saturday. No other major news as of the time of recording, around about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, and so we'll finish the video there. Please do, if you are new to the channel, not yet subscribed, please do click that subscriber button, keep the numbers pushing up and up and up and up. Even one new subscriber per day makes me just so happy, and do feel free to pop your thoughts and opinions and comments in the comment section, keeping things pleasant, polite, respectful, etc., so we can have a nice wee chat, debate amongst Celtic fans. We'll be doing a preview of the Hibs match, likely on Friday afternoon, Friday early evening, and so until the next video, goodbye and hail, hail.